Hi, Romesh Srivastav here, Editor-in-Chief, SightsIn Plus. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Please to subscribe this for the HR news, for HR updates and conversations with the top-notch CHROs. Today, we are going to talk about the candidate dropouts in hiring process. If we look at the data, around 40% of the time HR leaders spend on the hiring process. And if candidates don't join, that impact in both in terms of the cost as well as the project plans. So that is very sensitive. To discuss in detail what are the reasons of candidate dropouts and how we can minimize this, we have a distinguished panel. Let me introduce Mr. Subir Verma. He is the head HR for transmission and distribution business of the Tata Power. And Ms. Bulbul Renathan. She is the Chief People Officer at Connect and Heal CNH Care. Subir, if I come to you first and if I share a little data, so the joining stands around 70 to 80% when we talk about the lateral hire, means 20 to 30% at the dropout. If we go for the campus hire, so the joining stands around 25 to 35%. So dropout is here very high, 65% to 75%. How do you decipher what you find the reasons behind these dropouts?
Good afternoon, Ramesh. It's lovely to be on discussion with you, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion. So, especially, I feel that any dropout which happens, it happens because of four reasons. One is the brand of the company. The second is the role of the company. Third is the compensation of the company, and fourth is the manager of the company. So what I believe is that if any dropout is there, which means the hiring has not been done in a very qualitative manner. Most of the organizations, they try to follow a very carpet bombing approach. They try to hire people who are so-called in the market. Whether they are fitting into the scheme of the things of the organization or not, they don't see. For example, there are many traditional organizations and there are many new age organizations or startup organizations or technology based organizations. All of them go to a particular college. I don't want to name the college or say tier one college. Now, tier one candidates, they have different career aspirations, and the career path which a organization can provide would also be different. So it is absolutely a mismatch between what the company is looking for, what the role is looking for, and what the candidate you are hiring. So that mismatch is one of the reasons for candidates dropout. Second important reason is that once a candidate has got the offer, which means he is good, and if you provide them enough time for them to join, unfortunately in the current stage they go shopping, and they obviously look for better brand, better role, better compensation, better management, better manager, which they can get. And if they get any of these two or three elements better than the offer which they have in hand, they drop out. So it is very important that we look for these signs from the time we have offered that candidate, and either HR or manager starts engaging with that candidates. Engagement is very important, and engagement has to be at a very periodic level and a very systematic manner. Not that somebody called and tried to ask when are you joining or have you got the offer later. It has to be a conversation about the organization, a conversation about the values, principles, mission of the organization, so that you are sharing what the company is doing, you are sharing what the company plans are, so that candidate is onboarded before they actually join the organization. So I feel these are some of the reasons why candidates drop out.
And Bulbul, what are your opening comments? And let me also add here one more data that around 28% candidates they skip the interview, they don't attend the interview. And if you talk about your sector, tech sector, so here the dropout ratio is little higher if I compare with the manufacturing and EPC kind of companies. So here the dropout ratio is around 32% for the lateral hires.
So thanks, Ramesh, for the data, which kind of gives a clear pen picture, right, as to what are the trends. And of course, appreciate Subir bringing in your experience and then therefore your recommendations, how things can be made to look better. Well, I think it is also very important to understand that at different stages of career, right, the talent engages with the organization very differently, right? So if it is a campus hiring, the experience that one gathers as a recruiter or as a new joinee, this entire experience ecosystem is going to be so much more different than that of a lateral hire or than that of a reference-based hiring. So, it is quite, you cannot blanket cover the entire experience model, right? So at different stages, the experiences, the aspirations are very different, which is why the stats would also be different, okay? Now, let us talk about the primary. Let us just start with a situation where we are looking at campus hiring, where we are potentially going and reaching out to talent which is fresh. They possibly do not have much of an idea as to what they want to do, what a job is like, right? But all they want to know is that they are going to be a part of the mainstream economy and they are going to be working, right? I think that's a very good spot for any organization to be in terms of creating a branding for the organization. Okay. Now, one thing what Subir said and I picked up is that, one of the main reasons why employees do not join or there are dropout is because of who you are as an organization. Okay. Now that is so much of a responsibility on the organization's reps who go on recruiting. So therefore your HR managers or your recruiting partners, whoever you are going to be using, to represent the organization in the rightmost way, in the sense of what business they are into, how they are contributing to the ecosystem. That's one aspect of it. And then also put in an effort to kind of link the aspiration of the youngsters who you are hiring to the organization's aspiration. So when I see as a fresher coming and joining the the market where there's large talent pool over there, I would want to know somewhere the subtle the aspirations that I have about how should I look when I am working, how should I feel, or what do I see myself doing in the next, in the first most job. However, if you are able to create that narrative for them, I think we've done a brilliant job. I think so at that level, I think talking to the aspirants as to understanding who your TG is, pegging the organization and the entire opening, not as a job, but as experience, very holistic, and which kind of paves the path for the future, is very important. So this part, I have always sensed that the success rate is so much more higher when we do a one-on-one chat and not like a blanket cover, hey, here is a joining date, here, this is what you do. But when you do go and give a placement talk as to who your organization is and what do they do, how do they contribute, how you should see yourself in the same ecosystem when you join, is when you are actually planting a beautiful picture in their mind. So that's one audience, okay? And another set of audience, let's talk about the lateral hire, right? Now, the lateral hires are coming in with already certain years of experience. They have already achieved a certain sense of achievement and accomplishment in their own field. They understand the market. They have also now got preferences for working for certain industries vis-a-vis another industry. They would want to work for certain brand. Again, as a hiring partner, one should be able to first understand what is the aspiration over here. So the job market is no more a one-way journey. Okay, it is equally the game of where demand meets supply. right? So both as an employer and as a talent, you are on equal strengths, and you are potentially interviewing each other to find a great fit over here. Okay, so I think that's the truth today, and it's as I would continue to say, it is no longer a bias space. So to that effect, again, to be able to understand the aspiration or what the individual has and what is it that, if given to him or her, would make joining as a great experience, would be a great initiative, to the first most step. But after you have selected and they have joined hands, the tough part is to make this conversion possible, which means one has to continue to engage with the, after the offer letter has been sent out, as to, hey, the excitement that you have in order to make a choice in us, we are equally excited to have you on board. Right. So as a practice, we in our organization continue to connect with the aspirant new joinee every, if the joining period is about a month or two, every week, every 10 days, we send out some kind of a communication which tells them, hey, we are excited to have you on board. Your joining date is nearing. We do send out certain information and literature about the organization. We give them some readouts, right? So there is a continuous brand that we keep floating in front of the aspirant, and you are potentially visible. So the excitement that one has in terms of joining another organization, if we mirror that as an organization, I think that's a beautiful mix, and there is a need to be together, which is created over here.
Yeah, sure. We will discuss the solution part a little later. Let me find out what are the reasons. There is also one more reason. Sometimes the lack of talent, lack of talent pool. Suppose you create a position and you get the 5 applications, and somehow you arrange the 5 more applications, and you decided to offer to a candidate, and you have finalized the candidate. Even sometimes you have the apprehension, you have the intuition that this candidate may not join, but you offer. So how we can create the talent pool, how we can attract the more candidate, how we can attract the more applications for the position, so that we can avoid some situation.
So this is a wonderful question, in which most of the organizations are facing this issue. In my opinion, if I have to give an example, say for example, in current times, Coke sells more than coconut. Everybody knows the benefit of coconut, but coconut sale is less than the cola. And the one reason is the branding. And branding is always perception versus reality. Reality is that coconut is more useful, more beneficial for the health, but cola sells more. So employer branding is very, very important, which every organization must have within their target segment of audience. Now here, the carpet bombing approach will not work. So company need to focus on branding first within the company, because employees are the best spokesperson, easiest and the cheapest way to build employer branding. The second is you need to build employer branding among the target segment. For example, if a startup is building a employer branding, obviously he's trying to hire the freshers. So he should not look at more lateral people or experienced people employer branding. So so the company can target their employer branding in 3 areas. One is the freshers, those who are restless, they want to do multitask, they want to grow fast, learn. So their employer branding, the proposition will be different. The second, if you are trying to hire more lateral and less of freshers, then your employer branding proposition will be different. The second is the best. What is best talent? The best talent insight you will get, or any organization will get, from the data of past employees. For example, there is a model which we use, is called predictive hiring model. So based on that, any organization can take data of last 10 years and they can see which are the employee who perform better in my organization, which are the employee who have larger tenure in my organization, and then do deep diving into the data and see from which college they are coming, what experience they are coming, which location they are coming. And then you try to hire those kind of people because those kind of people are more successful in my organization. The same proposition will be different for a different organization. So a predictive hiring model of people who are highly productive and successful in my organization, and I need to target that segment of people, that is very, very important, I believe.
Bulbul, I find out one more result. Sometimes you know that this candidate has an offer. Already he has an offer, but still you are going to just counter the offer. How do you see? Can you trust these candidates? If you are going to offer him again, maybe he can look next offer. He is not going to join you. What is your comment on this kind of the culture?
See, basically, in the last 2, 3 years, we have all seen how the tech hiring market has, potentially behaved, right? We have seen, the supply of tech talent to be so limited, whereas the demand has been so high, right? And we have seen how the cost of hiring has gone up. We have also seen how the offers have been countered, and just rightly as you said that people are sitting with at least 2 4 offers in their hand. Okay, now that being the case, yes, compensation has at a certain level, compensation is a very critical deciding factor for employees to choose to join an organization. However, having said that, I think it is again a large part to do with who you are as an organization, at which stage of growth you are in, okay, what benefits you are giving, right? What kind of growth path and career path are you able to give to the employee, where which organization is able to offer that in the shortest, most possible time, right? So beyond compensation, these are also certain factors which candidates do scope in, and it will be wrong to say it is only compensation as the only deciding factor. Okay, at a certain stage of their career path, they would also want to know who they are working for, who is the leadership team they are engaged with. So the success rate of lateral hires also depends on how the organization organically has been able to create a great engagement level at different stages, with different stakeholders within the organization and outside the organization, right? So I represent a startup ecosystem, and we have seen some great hirings being done, and every possible combination of hiring and experiences I've really experienced, and I could relate to what Subir is saying and what Ramesh you are bringing on this discussion. Right. So, as I rightly would again reiterate that compensation is always not the only deciding factor, right? Especially in a startup ecosystem where the brand is yet to kind of, take a shape, and it is critically in that kind of a stage of its life cycle where it is going to, very soon going to make a very prominent mark in the industry that they are thriving. There are talent who choose to be a part of such growth stories. Okay, and that potentially comes also from the of the leadership team who is working within the organization and have worked earlier with such related talent, and they draw those talent on board to be a part of the similar growth story.
So we cannot make it zero, but of course we can try to minimize the dropouts. So if we talk about the lateral hire, so what are your solutions? How we can minimize the dropouts in lateral hire?
The first way to minimize the lateral hire is the talent from where you are hiring. If you are hiring from general market or the portals, or from where the other organizations are hiring, the dropout is going to be high, obviously more. There are certain segment which is untapped and which has a very large pool. For example, if you will see in traditional organization, contractual workforce is generally 5 to 10 times the number of on-roll workforce. Now they are working in the organization for more than 3 years, more than 5 years, sometimes more than 10 years also. They are more trained. They know the values and the culture of the company. Why don't we hire from there? So, absorption of contractual employees on the permanent role will provide a large pool to any organization. So, that pool will never be dropouts. So that is one area. The second area from where the organization can hire to minimize lateral hire dropouts is the women employees. Now, there are many educated women employees, those who are staying in say semi-urban areas or even rural areas. For some roles, you can definitely look at them and provide that opportunities. So hire people from remote towns, rural areas. They are more loyal, they are more consistent in their behavior, and the dropouts will be lower. The third is obviously we can look at hiring people who are educated, but they could not join the workforce because of many reasons, because of family reasons, because of whatever reasons, of women employees. The fourth area is that we have to create a very good employee value proposition and engage with your target segment once you have offered them. Each employee's motivational factor to join the organization is different. For example, youngsters, their motivation to join an organization is different than a 40-year-old employee. Their motivational factor will be different. So the way HR or managers are engaging with them and communicating the employee value proposition, why they should join the organization, has to be customized to the candidate you have offered. You cannot have just one EVP and just keep sharing with them. It has to be a very, very customized approach. So I think if we do these 3, 4 areas, definitely we will see some positive and improvement in the dropout rates of lateral hires.
Bulbul, post releasing the offer and till the onboarding, that is very critical period for the HR leaders. How we can keep engaged the candidate in this period of time? What is your comment on this?
Perfect. I think, this is actually a critical time because, yes, we can go ahead and offer, a couple of people for one position. You would want to go offer, 3, 4 candidates, especially if the trend has shown that there are multiple dropouts for that particular role, right? And that may not be applicable for most other roles, but yes, the dropouts are very much common. Okay. As this is typically common in certain segments, in certain roles. But as you keep going up the ladder, the percentage comes down. So the success rate is a lot higher. And that typically tells us that, the level of maturity and the level of engagement, right, that the individual brings on the table, and also when the organization engages with the a new employee, has to be curated. Okay, so at every stage and every cohort of people that you are engaging, you have to curate your engagement plan. So pre-onboarding, to onboarding, and then handhold for the next couple of months until through the probation period. Okay. So even if the employee chooses to join you, you will also see a couple of dropouts still happen from the time of joining and between the probation period. So, I think good and a valid, process would be to kind of start collecting some data. If you are seeing some erratic figures coming and very disturbing figures, which is basically increasing your hiring cost, and it's kind of reducing the efficiency of the outcomes that you want to create, you might want to start collecting some data point and read that data and understand and take a very, very focused strategic approach in terms of creating a solution at these 3 levels.
Yeah, Subir, so as we discussed that campus hiring has very high dropout rate. So how we can improve that?
So I see the engagement model of most of the corporates is quite old. For example, if you see Fortune 500 companies in 1955 and Fortune 500 companies now, only 55 is existing and 400, more than 400 are out. One of the reasons is innovation. So you would see the way corporates engage with these colleges and these college selected candidates is quite an old method. Now the needs of these campus selects are different. So something which we can do, something which I can recommend. The first one is that we need to prepare our manager to understand them. There has to, because their expectations are different, so there has to be a balance between what company wants and they are what they are looking for. That is the first thing. The second one is a mode of communication. We still communicate via emails or via certain booklets, or we give certain gifts. The millenniums mode of communication is different. They are more into Instagram, emojis, social media. So a mode of communication to them is probably what we need to look for them. Second is the third is that we need to guide them. See, when a college graduate or postgraduate, he's in college, his or her manager goes and tell her, you are future managers. Now he gets into a dreamland that I will be a manager, I will have this cabin, I will have a team. But when he comes to corporate, he comes to reality. So it is very important that the managers or the HR who is there, people from the organization have to make a balance and bring them to reality. We need to guide them. We just can't complain them that the current youngsters are quite demanding in nature. So that balancing needs to be there. The fourth one is that there has to be a constant engagement. It cannot be that the corporate engage with campus just at the time of internship or the final placement hire. The engagement need to be throughout the year, because as we are assessing them, they are also assessing the organization, that what kind of culture these people have, what kind of career growth they will give me, what kind of learning opportunity I will have, what kind of technology they are using, what kind of promotion policy these people have. Will I have a work life balance or not? Will I have fun or in that organization or not? Are they very serious organization? So if we have a constant engagement throughout the year, then you will see the dropout will be much lesser. And I can share with you our experience that in our group, when we go to campus and when we hire people, the dropout is almost negligible, because we probably are able to engage with them better. We probably are able to give them a lot of value proposition, and they see a long-term career with our organization. So I feel these are the four things. If we provide to campus hires, their engagement level will be much higher, and their dropout will be much lower.
Yeah, so what are your comments on this? How we can improve the campus hiring and reduce the dropouts?
A simple and a very productive and effective way that we have learned over the years is to reach out to the colleges for internship programs, right? So between their exams, especially the final exams, when they are getting over, that would be a great time for organizations to go offer internship programs to the handpicked selected interns, students from the college, right? So they come and have a good experiential journey with the organization, understanding, what the organization does, also does their small bit of projects. It also contributes. They are also able to contribute to the, in a smaller way, yes, but it's a learning process for them, right? So this experience that they are gathering in a short time, yet also along with it are able to make some kind of a pocket money, is a great positive experience for them. So what they do is that they look forward to those, right? And once they are done with their course, and then when you are continuing to hire, they are all up and ready because they have already engaged they know some seniors within the organization, they have a good recall, and the success rate goes up. So their experiences then again cascades a positive experience for other probable students who could be your interns in the organization. So in the area that you are operating in the radius of 5 kilometers, if you reach out all the category of colleges that you want to potentially target, and who take the HR team should be going out and doing some campus talks, and let campus to corporate programs and get them on board, get them an experience. They go back, and what is also happening alongside is that your funnel is always full. So whenever you have an immediate requirement to hire the executive, senior executive position, you already have a ready funnel available. So it's a two-way thing. It's a win-win, basically. So this has always been given us a good success. And I would strongly recommend that corporates should be going out to colleges, tell people about what they do, and let them come and have an experience, go back with a positive experience, and continue to create this circle.
Thank you so much, Subir and Bulbul, for joining the conversation and sharing your wonderful thoughts. Thank you so much.
It was wonderful to interact with you, Ramesh. Thank you, Bulbul. Pleasure talking to all of you. Wish you all the best.
Pleasure talking to both of you.